Hello BroSis, selamat datang di podcast MTP, Manajemen Talenta Papua. Wadahnya talenta-talenta Papua berbagi kisah inspiratifnya untuk menginspirasi kita semua. Prepare your headset for a better sound and enjoy.
Mereka ini adalah talenta muda Papua. Anak-anak muda Papua yang hebat-hebat. Ada Yosua Gombo, ini belajar robotik di Washington.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first episode of MTP, Manajemen Talenta Papua, where we bring you some of the most inspiring young Papuans and young professionals from Papua who are striving and building their careers and inspiring a lot of people through their work. Today, we have with us our very own Yosua Gombo. Yosua Gombo is a PhD candidate, a PhD student, currently studying in Seattle. He's studying robotic engineering, and he'll tell more about what he'll be doing, what he's doing in his study, and what else are his projects out of his studies, how he managed his life and work during this podcast, during this conversation. So, Joshua, maybe I'll start with, can you tell a little bit more of how your daily activities is like? Let's say right now it's in August, so I assume you're having your summer break.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to this podcast. It's really my pleasure to be in here to share my stories. My daily activities, as Anas mentioned, I'm a PhD student or PhD candidate at University of Washington. So it is a full-time job for me as a student. So my daily activities will be just going to the lab every day, working on my research and also some courses and etc. But other than my academic obligations, I'm also building like one movement or like one startups that is based on technology. It is Honai Technology, and it is a startup based from Papua. And I'm building this startup with couple of my friends. Just wanted to shout out to Richard, Pascal, Olive, and Shirina. So that's pretty much it. My daily activities here.
And you guys can see how you guys can follow Honai Tech at their Instagram from the link below. Can you tell a little bit more about your story? How did you get to study in the US? This will be if you finish your PhD, well, this would be your third degree, right? Because you started studying in US since your bachelor. You also finished your bachelor's also in the US. So can you tell us a little bit more about how did you end up studying in the US?
Yeah, so I came from Wamena in Papua. So the chance to study abroad first of all, I get a chance to study in Jayapura from Wamena. So I went to SMA Negeri 3 Jayapura, and I think during that school year, I think I got the opportunity to also study or like go to Jakarta and then study more there. And I was there for I think for 2 years, almost 2 years. And from there is another opportunity to basically go abroad and study to the US, and thankfully I got that opportunity. It was a scholarship opportunities from the Papuan government at the time. So yeah, I went to the US. I did my bachelor's in Oregon with that scholarship from the Papuan government, and then now I'm continuing my graduate studies here in Washington, in Seattle. So yeah, so that's pretty much my journey from basically Wamena to the US.
You're a long way from home, brother.
Yeah. It's
So, man, robotic, because I don't hear a lot of young Papuans, and maybe people out there don't know if we have young Papuans studying robotic engineering. So where did your interest start, or what makes you interested in studying about robotic engineering or robotic itself?
Yeah, so I've told this story many times before, but actually my passion on robotics, it was started from when I was back home in Wamena. So this is where when I was in junior high, in a small city in Wamena, I really like watching airplanes, because my parents' house is like really close to the airport. So during after school, usually I just went to the airport and just watching airplanes all day. The airplane landed and took off, and that was really my favorite thing to do back then. And then it's not only just watching the airplane, but at that time I was really impressed with how technological advance the airplane was. Like if you think about it, it's just the some metals that's being bonded together and that they can fly. So it's really impressive to me. So I think that's where my interest in technology
Robotic
basically
technology.
started. Yeah, and then I started to when I got a chance to go to Jayapura and then also to Jakarta to study, I get more exposure to technology, and this is where I think if I want to study or if I want to learn about technology more, I think robotics is one of the field that is in top of the field. Like if you look at technology, robotics is like at the top there. So that's where I think when I chose like my graduate studies, I was like, I think I just really want to study robotics. This become this is my dreams for so long, and just wanna
Yeah, when you say
take it and go.
robotic analytics is the top of it, like people in big data and AI is gonna like, hey man, we're also up there. Some of the science and engineers, the STEM subject. Yeah, speaking of, it's surprising, like when you talk of another Papuan, like the 6 degree of separation, right? Like everybody in the world is just like connected, just 6 degrees separation away from each other, right? Like when you just talk about your childhood in Wamena, living in near the airport, and went to SMA 3, SMA Bupar, and also studying in the US, like because I have families living up there in Wamena in Sinagma. I don't know if you know my cousin Yosua Yoeni. He also studied from the same school, Bupar, and now he's studying something with like related to flight engineering, aeronautical engineering, or something in Kalamazoo. He's studying in
Okay.
Kalamazoo, Michigan. So yeah, like what I'm seeing is now this generation, your generation. I think we're like, I'm not gonna separate like your generation, my generation, because like we're probably somewhere along the road, because I have similar experience with you. Like I did my undergrad in Philippines through like in your case you get funded by the government, the Papuan government, right? In my case it was my mom who got funded by the Papuan government, and I was just like the multiplying effect of it.
Oh, I
But
see.
then as we talked earlier before the podcast, I did my master's in US through Fulbright scholarship in California, Monterey, just about a little over an hour away from south of San Francisco. Like we're living at an unprecedented time where we were given such opportunities to be able to go out there and to enjoy the privilege of studying abroad and studying the things that hopefully we love. But what people don't see often is the struggle behind it. Can you tell a little bit of your story? What was your biggest struggle in your journey to getting your PhD? It doesn't have to be PhD. It could be somewhere along the way from you started all the way up to this point, or what you could foresee in the future.
Yeah. I mean, of course, there's a lot of struggles. If I can choose one, as a foreigner coming from like other countries to the US, like the usual struggles is like the language barrier, right? Like usually when you first came,
Absolutely.
it was really hard to speak. It was really hard to just to listen and then understand some people when they're talking. But I think that's more like general things. One thing that I think it was really hard for me and it was really a challenge for me is basically being an outsider in the US. And what does mean is we don't, in Papua, we have like families, we have our friends, support network around us. That's, people that always helped us, but it's not in here. Here is like we're just by ourselves, right? So I remember when I had to do something, I cannot ask for help from anybody. I need to do it by myself. I need to be basically independent, right? And that was really, really tough. Asking for help was not a common thing here. Like just to ask random people, just like if you're in Papua back home, like we have family, friends all around. So I think that was the biggest struggle I had, especially when I first came, when I don't have anybody. But I think, along the way, it becomes like it basically built me up, and I started to form my support network around me. I found some friends, good friends that I can also talk to and ask for help. So over time, I think it basically, decreases, but definitely that was the biggest struggle I had. It was
Yeah.
the being an outsider. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I completely understand that feeling where, unlike when you're home, you always have your safety net, where you can always
Mhm.
call on someone. You can always go to your family in case of trouble. But out there studying alone, especially when, I don't know how it is in Seattle, but like in Monterey, I basically didn't meet any Indonesian until about the last 3 months of my stay there. So
Wow.
you're basically on your own, and there's always good, a positive and negative side. Like it makes you feel homesick, makes you feel like you're all alone, and but it also makes you become, like what you said, become independent. Means you learn how to
Mhm.
adapt. You learn how to survive, adapt, and like. As I can see, like you've been starting up your Honai Tech and doing things, working across border, like I don't think you're just surviving, you're thriving over there, which is amazing, which is
Mhm.
very inspiring. And like I wish you Honetech will go further. And that's the mentality, and what I think, if everyone has the opportunity, they could like go outside their comfort zone, their safety zone, and then explore and experience other culture, all the meeting other people. So it
Mhm.
becomes a good way of looking at themselves, and how different other people and we are, and how we can bring that together, how it can enrich us as a person, as our culture, as our
Mhm. Mhm.
identity, who we are, who me, Johannes, as a person, who Joshua is as a person.
Mhm.
And which brings me to my next question. In school, in college, in education, like I know
Yeah.
you didn't experience like us. We both have something in common. Like we don't, aside from other things, like we've never experienced higher education, Indonesian education system at the higher education. So what do you
Mhm.
think is the biggest difference in between Indonesian and how you experience it in US so far?
In terms of education system,
Yeah,
um,
classroom culture, everything. What you can share, whatever you can share.
yeah. So this is maybe a little bit biased for me because, like you said, I've never been through a college in Indonesia. But I talked to some friends that goes to college in Indonesia. Also, my sister, and I think one of the biggest differences is the way the relationship we have with our professors, with our
Right. Yeah.
instructors.
Yeah.
I think here it's the professors here, they are more open, and sometimes they, if we ask questions, it's really easy to find them and ask for help and ask for questions. And they also like really patient. Like if you don't understand anything, they will explain it like really slowly and patiently until we understand. And things that I know in Indonesia, not a lot of, not all of them, but I think just from stories from my sister and my friends, they sometimes struggle to just find time to sit down with their professor. And I think that's one of the biggest difference here. It's really easy to get time with our advisor, with our professor. And I think another thing there's also a little bit different is how they're basically they what they call it, they really look at our time. So it's not, I think there's a stereotype in Indonesia where, if you're a professor, you can do whatever you want, and then just, you know they don't care about your time, like your students' times. But here it's more like a professional relationship where they also care about your time. They also like treat you as a human being. If you know what I mean.
As an equal, as a peer, rather than the hierarchical, like having a very strong, very rigid hierarchical relationship. It's more
Right.
egalitarian. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So it's like a peer, right? Like it's just like talk to you to a colleague or something instead of just like talk to your
Yeah, especially like at your level now, taking PhD, I suppose it's more of like you can even become a co-author with your professor.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
discussing ideas, discussing all
like
the
research
academic
and
matters.
stuff, right? So I think that was the differences. Also, another thing is I think education here is really balanced between like theoretical and like a practical side of it. I think in Indonesia it's really focused on theory, and there's a lot of reason for it. I think it's you just don't have the facilities yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but
it's
that's
almost,
also another difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I had that experience also in my case where from my observation, because I basically grew up inside a university. Both my parents are university professors, and we have a very strong like a complete division between the vocational and proper. I don't know what, can't think of the right word, but the college, the university, the degree education. The vocational is like everything was hands-on, while the other one is more on theoretical. But my experience, especially me having 4 semester, I was able to get an intern in 1 semester. Like on average we took about 4 subjects every semester, and I have an internship on every single subject, almost every single subject. For every 4 credits course, I have an internship. So by the time I graduated, I have like in all, if I add all the amount, I've been internship for 6 months in 8 to 10 different organizations. That can be something very strong in your resume when you go out into the world.
Right. Yeah.
Getting a job or getting employment or start your own business. And
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, we have to understand the classroom environment, classroom culture. We are encouraged to read before class, but we should understand that professors in US get paid way more than what they get here. We're grossly underpaid university professors here, so that could be one of the reasons. How, if you can tell to the young Papuans who was watching this, where do you think this robotic engineering is in the next 5-10 years from now, and why should the young Papuans look at the STEM field? Yeah, science, engineering.
Yeah. So I think just like in general term, I think robotics in general is still being developed, and it's even in globally, just not only in Indonesia. But if you look at the Indonesia, we're not there yet, right? Especially like if you look at Indonesia, it's still limited. Especially if you look at Papua, it's even less, right? Because it's less developed part of the Indonesia. But if I look at 5 to 10 years from now, I can see some big improvements in the robotics technology. And the reason being is because now we have like a lot of Papuan students that actually study robotics in the US. Like I have I know some people, some Papuan here that taking computer science or taking like electrical engineering as their majors, and those are the core like robotics fields, I guess, if you can say robotics fields. And yeah, I'm pretty confident, at least in maybe in 10 years, where we started to see like this development of the robotics technology in Papua and also moreover in Indonesia, because this type of technology really developing really fast, right? If you look at the world, if you think about it, like 10 years ago, it was really less. Like this machine learning AI thing, back then it was nothing, right?
It's also, people think it's like a science fiction.
Right. Yeah. it is just now this type of field is just everywhere. People just use it for I don't know, for
For everything,
doing the
basically.
pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah, every
everything,
single
right? From medicine
simple,
or
yeah, simple, mundane everyday task is now can be generated using AI. Like they say, Elon
right,
Musk
right.
factory is now fully automated, things
Yeah,
like that.
and those are just small examples from the development of the robotics technology, and from this we can see in 10 years I can say pretty confident that there's gonna be a lot of new things happening, especially in Papua and in Indonesia. Maybe like some people will create their own businesses, or maybe there's more like automated manufacturers or something in Papua or in Indonesia. And if I look at in terms of the human resources that we have, like I said, I'm pretty confident that more and more Papuans now study robotics, study engineering, and that's a really good thing, because even though right now it's still limited in Indonesia and Papua, but we can think about it in the future, like what we can do in the future, and this is where we, basically prepare ourselves to be able to compete with other countries and compete globally, basically in technology. So yeah, I'm pretty confident actually.
How would you tell young Papuans out there, like what kind of attitude or character they must possess to enter this field? Because sometimes it's not for the faint-hearted. You get a lot of you know especially in the science field, we understand that failure is rate is very high, and
Mhm.
especially working in lab, it's all trial and error and all that. What kind of character that you see from yourself, or with your circle, with your colleagues, or everyone working around you? What do you think that people should possess to be able to
Uh,
to enter this field?
right, yeah. Yeah, just like you said, right, in science, in STEM field, there's a lot of like, working and working and working, basically just doing things over and over again. And I think one of the characteristic that we have is to have some perseverance. So basically
Mhm.
just working on over and over again without being tired. And it's really hard, right? I mean, I say this because um just because, yeah, you have to work hard, but one thing that motivate us to work hard, to work over and over again, is to actually like the field. So if I want to give some advice to young Papuans, or like some friends who want to go to this type of field, first we need to identify like the field that we like in science. For example, if I like robots, so I go to robotics and I really like it. So no matter how hard it is, from no matter how challenging it is, I still want to do it because I like it. And that's where the perseverance comes from. Like I can do these things over and over again, even though I failed sometimes, right? And I still enjoy it. And that's one thing that we need to have. um, but from my experience, though, I think people uh, who came here, like Papuan students who came here, we have like our own unique motivation that I see, because sometimes here we have this thought of uh, we gotta go back and build our land to go back and build Papua, and that's another motivation that we have as Papuans. Like we came here, none of other maybe other Indonesian students have this as well, but I don't see it. Like as Papuans, we always have this motivation of
Yeah, we
I
have
want to go back
that
someday.
extra. Yeah, we have that extra thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it really helps us to like work really hard. Like every time we feel like I don't want to work, but when we think about it, but I want to go back someday
yeah.
to build Papua, that's
Mhm.
another motivation. So that's another plus from us, though, I
Yeah,
think. So yeah.
yeah, because like we understand our us being here is taking up resources, taking up opportunity from
Mm-hmm.
other people, and like we don't want to come home and be a scrub. We want to be something. We want to do something,
Mm-hmm.
and that
Yeah,
becomes an extra motivation for us.
yeah, that's true. So
And yeah, and what you said earlier is like it's not just for STEM. It's just good advice in life, for life in general. Having that perseverance, tenacity, determination to go through failures and find what you love. Sometimes it's not you don't find it just by thinking what you love, but actually like explore, like try to do it and see what you like, what you don't like.
Yeah.
Experience something, explore. You don't just sit on your behind and then and not do anything and then like, oh, I don't have any passion. No, you have to go out there, get off your couch, get off your seat, go explore
Yeah.
the world, see what you can find, see what excites you. Because like once you get there, once you start doing it, sometimes it's just gonna create like an avalanche. It's just like gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. And
Yeah, that's true.
and even like what you said, like you can find the pleasure, like find the joy in having have your experience go into failure, because it is something that you do. And they say like if you do something that you don't like, it becomes twice as hard, because now you have to force yourself, and then you have to do the task, do the job that you need to do. So
that's
finding
true.
your passion, finding your purpose, finding your direction, finding what is it that you want to do is very critical in deciding which area you want to go into. I think that's what I have. And thank you so much for sharing, for giving a little bit insight of your life and your experiences, and a word of advice for everyone who's listening, for everyone who's going out there and trying to do something with their life, trying to achieve their dreams. And hopefully this inspires many people who's watching this. Thank you so much. And we hope to work with Honai Tech very, very soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. It's really exciting. So hopefully I can inspire some people. So yeah, thank you.
I'm sure they will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.